what I love about it, this is my strategy now, and I think everyone needs to use this strategy. What's going to happen before it happens? Get there first and then go into asset selection mode, like extreme level, and go in there and buying the subdividable sites, like buying the high density sites where you could knock the house down and build 13 units or a few townhouses on it, because you can buy it for nothing. You can buy it for nothing. Welcome to Property Banter by Pinnacle Buyers Agents. Today, I'm excited to have Adi Chanda from Alaya Property on to discuss the top 5 Victorian suburbs to invest in under $600,000. Please like, subscribe, share with a friend. Let's go. Mr. Adi, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Michael. I flew up from Melbourne yesterday. It's been fun. I've been looking forward to this for a little while, so thank you for having me.
Another Melbourne Mexican crossing the border.
That's right.
Coming up.
This has gone rogue already, guys. We're 17 seconds in.
Look. Let's just have a good banter episode. Let's have fun.
Let's have fun.
And give everyone some value, because today, we're going to talk about suburbs to invest in under 600K.
That's right.
In Victoria.
It's kind of wild to think, right? One of the biggest capital cities in the world. One of the most, people want to live there. And you still have places 30, 35 kilometers out under 600K.
Everyone wants to live there except the 300,000 that migrated post-COVID that live here.
Yeah.
Exclude them.
I've met some of them and it's fine.
You'll see them. You just got to look on the sunny coast for an X5 and a Hawthorn hat. They always wear the AFL gear, so you know how to spot them.
You know how to spot them.
Obvious.
Yeah. No, we're glad to get rid of them.
You want to get rid of them?
Yeah. Okay. We appreciate your service, Michael. Thank you.
Were they Collingwood fans? We're not starting that. By the way, I don't follow AFL. But I just know that if you're going to take the piss in AFL, you take the piss out of Collingwood. Is that right?
That's true. Yeah.
So that's the thing.
Sure.
There you go. Why not?
I'm an expert in.
It's a thing now.
It is the thing now. That's right.
Let's get back to real estate. I want to talk about some hotspots. I want to give everyone some amazing value today, Adi. And I want to talk about some hotspots that you've been looking at, that you really see the data aligning. And I've had a sneak peek at this list, and we are buying there as well. So I actually love seeing the list, including one of them, which we're actually doing a deal right now as we speak. So look, let's get into it. Let's go. Let's go from last to first, based on the data and your preference. Are we doing it in that order?
Yeah, for sure. I think preference is good. Maybe what I'll do is I'll sort of provide the audience with a bit of background in terms of like what actually led me there. It's easy to say data aligning, but what does that actually mean? So one of my sort of investment thesis is obviously the supply and demand need to work in the right way, right? They need to be working in the right way. So we know that growth is coming in an X period of time. And our friends from H-Tag sort of convey that message as well. But sort of going above that, I do like to look at the macro side of things. I know how sort of infrastructure spending is going. So that's sort of one of my first things that I look at. Is there infrastructure happening? Because sometimes supply and demand, the demand might be high, the supply might be low, but we sort of saw it through COVID. A lot of these booming suburbs went through the roof, even though the fundamentals were just not there. So some of the suburbs that I'm going to talk about, I sort of found them through infrastructure spend as well, which I really liked about that. And then when I sort of see what the infrastructure spend is actually translating to supply and demand, story looks good. And I'm guessing that's probably one of the reasons you're buying there too. So I love it. So do I have a favorite? I would say yes. I do have a favorite, and it's probably number 1 on the list that I sent you, but I'm happy to sort of do it any way you want, right? So let me start with...
Let's go with number 5.
Let's go with number 5.
Let's go with number 5.
It's Broadford in Victoria.
Yes.
You found some great property there. So I want to riff off some numbers that I've seen.
Yep.
Typical price, about 608K.
Yep.
You get a pretty healthy yield, 3.8%. But I've seen properties reach 4.3, 4.4% if you buy it well.
Yep.
And that's probably one of the biggest plugs about Melbourne, because it has a fairly negative sentiment at the moment, which everyone knows about. The media, everything does. Yep. People don't really want to invest there as proactively as Queensland or Perth. People are still chasing that.
Yeah, but people didn't want to invest in Perth.
Exactly. 3 years ago, right? It's all cycles.
They need to come in a pack. Humans like to be in a pack.
And it's all cycles, man. It always is. In 3 years' time, people will be like, oh, Perth is garbage again. And then Melbourne will be the new Perth. So it's all cycles. It's up to people like you and me.
A lot of people forget that.
Exactly.
Exactly. Like Short memory.
Exactly. And that's why people like you and me, it's our job in the industry to sort of look at the data and pick these things before they sort of take off. And that's what I like about these ones. So Broadford, let me riff off some more. Rent to owner ratio, 19%. That's incredibly healthy. It's a predominantly owner occupied dominant area.
Yeah.
12-month growth, hardly anything, less than a percent. To me, that's a great sign. I'm like, okay, we're sort of entering into a new growth phase. If I sort of look at the supply and demand as well, the 10-year growth, 105%. So in the last 10 years, the sort of suburb has doubled, right? So that tells me, right, if I park everything else, if I look at it in isolation, great fundamentals for the suburb. The local economy is good. The owner occupiers that make up 81% of the population are able to drive that growth quite comfortably because they have the income to support it. I love it. Stock on market percentage, 0.27%. That's a very tight market. That is a very tight market. Building approvals, as of me writing this, putting this list together, there were 18 approvals in train. And these things usually take 2 to 3 years to come to fruition. 18 houses is not a lot in a population of thousands and thousands. We're talking about a days on market of 38 days. So we're not talking about a hot market by any means, right? But we are talking about a market where the days on market is reducing over time. Vacancy rates is a little bit high at the moment, but what I like about it is that it's dropping over time. Long term, it's trending down. And that, you would know better than anyone, having done this for 10, 12 years, trends is where you really make the money. It's not about what it looks like today.
It's about where it's going.
It's about where it's going. I love it. And then going back to the infrastructure spend, it's got nearly $1,000 per capita of spend going on in that area. That tells me that people are, there are non-residential investments happening in that space. That's a really healthy sign. People don't pour money into a suburb if they don't see a future in it. And I'm gonna put this little thing, overarching thing. Broadford is not that far from Melbourne CBD, right? You can buy a house under 600, good block of land, 600, 700 square meters. Now, this is not going to be data, so Matt from HO is probably going to kill me. But if I fast forward 10 years, 15 years from now, I find it hard to believe that a block of land, 600, 700 square meter big, that I bought for 550, 570, is not going to be worth at least double in 10, 15. Can you imagine that in Melbourne of all places, right? 40 kilometers from Melbourne or 45 kilometers. So that's why I like Broadford. And a lot of the other suburbs that I'm about to share are going to share a very similar theme to it.
Because the theme to me, and this is where, and long before, we were using hashtag, I'll be buying based on value. Correct. Right? Value is what I've built my portfolio and my career on. And you're talking about value right now.
Correct.
And that's what that is. That's you seeing value with the data set aligning is a no-brainer. And this is the sort of stuff we try to tell everyone.
That's right.
When you get this, it's optimal, it's perfect. Just because everyone else isn't seeing it, it's going to take them 6 months, 12 months, 18 months to see it, to hear that one of their friends has done it. Correct. And then the herd comes along. But this is awesome. I'm excited to hear.
Me too, man. Me too. Definitely. Yeah, I'm excited to hear the Queensland list that we have coming up as well. I won't spend as much time on the next one. So we have Meadow Heights as well. Another great banger of a suburb, I think. If you can still use the word. Of course.
We know.
There you go. Let's go. So Michael's going to pump the suburb by himself.
We're buying it today. So
typical price 635. We have a typical yield of 4%. Rent or owner ratio 31. So again, owner occupied dominant. Past 12 months, it's actually gone up by 3.5%. So there's this sentiment around Melbourne doesn't grow at all, or hasn't grown at all. Melbourne, I like to just point out here, is a very big place, right? To overarchingly say Melbourne is not a good place to invest is kind of a silly thing to say, right? There are suburbs, there are markets within markets, and it is our job to pick up on those things. What are those markets that are going to perform well? So if you had bought in Meadow Heights 12 months ago, you would have still outdone inflation, right? Because it's 3.5%. We have a 10-year growth of 80%. Not bad, pretty healthy. Stock on market of 0.19%. So basically there's nothing there. By building approval, 13 approvals in train at the moment, basically nothing. Days on market is 36 days. Vacancy rate is 1.5%. Not amazing, but it's trending down, right? So again, another fantastic sort of example of you can buy based on value, but you can also complement it with the kind of data sets that drive price in the short to medium term.
Yes.
Love it.
The data set is that confidence.
It is.
All right. So the way, we've learned is to buy property based on value and buying things that haven't moved for some time and you can see that rents are crossing that equilibrium where it becomes cheaper to buy.
Correct.
And they're just metrics that we used to look at back in the day.
Correct.
And vacancy rates, supply, and so on, right?
Correct.
But now with obviously, looking at Melbourne and how undervalued it is, and how it hasn't moved for some time, combined with the data sets we have now is the reason why. That should be giving everyone the confidence right now to make these moves.
And I think a massive shout out to Matt and Alex from H-Tag for this, 100%. Right? Because I think historically we've done this based on value, but if you really peel it back, what is value? It's a little bit of gut feel, right? It's sort of like, how do you sort of, how do you make sense of a property being worth 400K, sort of in Melbourne? Yeah. That's kind of how we went. We were like, big block of land, everything sort of ticked the boxes. Yeah. Now there's someone like, Matt and Alex building this incredible product out there, called H-Tag, higher than average growth. And you can see the data playing out, right? This is no longer a gut feel. So you're complementing your gut feel of 12 years of experience with data that tells exactly that,
100%.
It doesn't.
Don't pump it. It's 11 years.
It's 11 years, yeah. So
I like you rounding up.
I am rounding up. I'm trying to be kind here.
trying to be. But no, you're 100% right. Yeah. And it's based on feel, and I can't explain. Years will teach you so much. Correct. Experience is so important. And the more I learn, I don't know anything. But, the data set is there to back it up and to confirm it. And I think a lot of people need to use it. So if you're not on H-Tag, definitely get on it.
Absolutely. 2025, man. It's a year of data.
It's going to be a great year in real estate.
It's going to be a great year. And I think the best thing I can probably say to the audience is it is very, very easy to become emotional about investing, right? Oh, yeah. You're investing a lot of money, like 600,000, be sort of saying it offhandedly, 600K, but $600,000 is a lot of money, right? It is not a small amount of money. Yep. But when it comes to investing, train yourself. If part of your sort of thesis is to actually invest this year, part of it is to get used to the idea of risk, right? It's a very cliche thing to say, but you cannot be in a market, whether it's Melbourne, Perth, Brisbane, whatever it is, right? You cannot be in a market always second guessing yourself. Learn to read the data, learn to get comfortable with it. And then when you execute, know that you've done so with genuine science behind it. It's no longer a gut feel. You've used science behind it. So just don't listen to the media. That's probably the other thing I would say.
Don't listen to family.
Yeah, and don't listen to family.
Anybody who's not an expert.
Uncle Bob at the barbecue is not the guy.
Listen,
Uncle Matt at H-Tag is the guy.
Okay.
That's
but
right.
You know what? There's even experts you shouldn't listen to.
That's right.
I've been watching podcasts where people are spreading all sorts of misinformation or saying the wrong thing on purpose for whatever personal gains. So there's a lot of information out there from all sorts of places. You need to just work on that gut feel and use the data to back it up.
And just treat a lot of things like white noise, You got to just roll it. Yeah, just got to roll with it, listen to it.
But you know what I think? Psychology plays a huge part.
Absolutely.
Humans, we come into this world with nothing. Correct. And yet we're so worried about putting a deposit on a house.
Correct.
As if the world's going to end.
Correct.
Based on us buying one property.
Exactly.
I see people struggle with that. I've seen people sit on millions and millions of dollars in cash for years, can't make a move.
Yep.
Because they just don't know how to. It's a psychological barrier that they need to overcome. I'm not a psychologist. I don't know what that is, but I know that they're struggling with it, right? And yet I see people that come to me with absolutely no money. They're like scraping together 40 grand, 50 grand, 60 grand. They're like, listen, give me anything. I'll take anything. And I'll buy, 1, 2, I'll buy as many as I can. Whatever they can buy, they'll buy. And then there's the people that, have money, but have the psychological barrier there. Humans are so funny, and we forget that life's so short.
It is.
I mean, if I'm supposed to live to 80, I'm halfway done.
Yep.
And let's face it.
Only halfway?
Halfway.
Only halfway?
Oh. I'm a little bit over halfway, right? But that's if I make it to 80, right? Let's say I go at 60, right? I got 20 years and I'm counting down 20 years.
Yeah.
If you really look at it like that, you're counting down 20 years. Make them count.
Yeah, it is.
What the hell are you saving for?
Yeah.
We're not going to go into saving money, losing money. Yeah. Saving money is not making money. That's right. For another time.
That's right.
I'm sure.
But if you think about it, right? If you peel it all back, you've dealt in 11 years, you would have dealt with
heaps of
very, very rich people, right?
Yes.
Very, very wealthy people. It's not about, so for me, wealth is not about big cars, Porsches and big houses, right? My partner and I don't care about any of that. Yeah. We want choices in our life. Choices to do what we want. I want to look after my parents. She wants to look after hers. Yeah. Those are the things that drive us, right?
Yeah.
But if you sort of peel it all back, the wealthiest people that we work with,
Yeah.
what do they all have in common?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's that they can take action,
Yeah.
right? It's always calculated action. They're not gamblers by any
Yeah.
means, right? They're not just throwing it like it's crypto.
Yeah.
They understand the data behind it. They understand the science behind it. They take the time to learn and they execute and they're comfortable with the decision.
Yeah.
Knowing, of course, there's a risk to investment. Everything has a risk. Holding cash also is a risk. If you hold $1 million in your bank account, it's losing money 3-4%, losing value 3-4% every single year, right? That's a risk. It doesn't feel like it because your dollars are not going down. It's not literally going down, but the value is. So everything comes with the risk. But rich, the wealthy people have sort of figured out the system to be like, you know what? Yeah, it comes with risk, but the risk outweighs the uptick, like the value that you get from it outweighs the risk.
Yep.
So yeah.
And these are the things that they learn and they pass on to their kids.
Correct.
These are the things that their kids going to an expensive private school learn from other kids who have parents that are involved in business, understand trust structures, maybe sit on a board of directors or whatever it is. You can't help but not be around. What's that saying? You if you've got X amount of friends doing whatever, you'll be the fifth one. Yeah. So you're 4 crackheads, you're the fifth crackhead, right? Or 4 super successful property investors, you're the fifth one.
Yep.
Right. And that's just what it is. It's where you come from. Now, and us from that migrant background, we didn't come from knowing trust structures.
Correct.
We
had to learn it. We were
had to learn it.
We turned out we weren't the fifth crackhead. We just got very lucky. I
had a bit of a loose time there in the middle, but definitely not.
We're back.
We're back. But hearing the stories of my dad, in a village being born on a rock that I've visited, drinking from a well, looking after, animals on a farm.
It's humbling, right?
And then, I'm, bragging about how much property I have and, buying brand new cars and racing cars and doing all sorts of stuff in just one generation shows how lucky we are to be here and that the system is there to definitely keep you down.
Correct.
Don't get this wrong. The system is there to keep all of you peasants in check. 100%.
Correct.
But there's a way to navigate it.
Correct.
The way the elite or the wealthy do, you can learn to navigate that. And we're in a, and I know we're sidetracking from, talking about the
But I think it forms part of the narrative, though. It's not just about the suburbs, man.
We're in an age where I can learn so much that my dad couldn't learn.
Yeah.
Right? That he just had a series of books and whatever he got his book from was the information. On the internet now, you've got so many different opinions. You just got to filter through which one's the right one because there's plenty of different wrong ones and right ones and so on. But the information now that's there is crazy. Like back in the day, I had to go do my own flip renovation and stuff like that. Correct. Learn the hard way. Learn it wasn't worth it if it was X amount. Yeah. Like I did that all myself. I think that was around the time YouTube came out. That's how I learned. Right? So, but now on Instagram, there's so much information. Or in LinkedIn, there's so much information. That stuff didn't exist before. So I think we have ourselves to blame if we're not using it.
True.
It's all there.
Very true. It is all there. It is all there. But I think so. Part of I guess what I do with my clients, right, is that education piece, right? Some people are just like, I have trusted you with my money. Yeah. You go and do this thing for me. Yeah. Others are, I've trusted you with my money, but I'm still going to question everything that you do. Yeah. Right. So part of it is the education piece. It's super cliche. Everyone talks about educating your clients, blah, blah, blah. But there's a genuine education piece, right? Like, hey, here's the data. Here's what's happened. Let's say pick Perth, for example. Why did Perth do what it did? Look at what the data is sort of showing. Now let's complement it with some of the suburbs we're talking about. It's almost irrational then to not listen to the data because you're seeing it play out. Why would you not sort of, execute on that? Yeah. So that's part of the education piece that I go through with my clients. It doesn't always work because psychology is psychology and it's 40 years of wiring versus one guy on a discovery call. Yeah. Right? There's there's limits to what we can do, but it's huge, man. I agree with you. The system is designed to keep us down, right? I think that it's hard to deny as we see the middle class sort of
government
eroding.
Is to govern men.
Correct. Right? Yeah, exactly. But if you know how to play the game, very cliche. Yeah. You can get out of it, right? If you're a business owner, you're a property investor, you surround yourself with the Michaels and of the world, you can get out of that, right? You can learn to unlearn a lot of the things that you've been conditioned to believe. So we could chat about this for 5 hours, 100%. But maybe we go to suburb number 3.
Okay, number 3,
what do you think?
Let's go.
All right. So I'm a big fan of Werribee. right? Werribee is my next one. 650K is the typical price.
Yes.
You can still pick up property under 600. Yield is a little bit lower than the other ones, 3.7%. Nothing bad. Rent to owner ratio, 33%. So very owner occupier dominant as well. 100% growth in the last 10 years, which is again, a sign of good fundamentals to me. 12-month growth, hardly anything. Very low stock on market, only 0.29%. Days on market is 35. Vacancy rates, again, a little bit higher today, but generally it has been trending down. To me, that's a very positive sign.
Yep.
What I like about Werribee, it is a thriving suburb. I was there like a week ago, visiting a friend of mine. It's a thriving suburb. Again, I put my non-data hat on. If I pick up a house for 600K in Werribee in 2025, right? It's got a big block of land. I find it very hard to believe that that block of land itself, not the house, is not going to be worth a shit ton more. I don't know if that's the scientific way to put it in 10, 15 years time. And property to me has always been the long-term game.
Yes.
I don't really do the speculative stuff as much anymore. You know, you can, don't get me wrong. You can use data to do that.
Yeah.
But that's where like Werribee also fits into the narrative for me. I'll go on to the next one.
Yep.
Golden Square in good old Bendigo.
Yes.
I love it. You can actually pick up a house for low 500s here, which is, again, wild to think that, yes, it's a little bit further out from Melbourne, not quite the Werribee, but yeah, $500,000.
Yeah.
Yield of 4.5%. Rent to owner ratio 35. Pretty healthy 10-year growth. Nominal 12-month growth, so we're entering into a new phase. Stock on market is low. Everything is looking very positive for Golden Square. And then finally, this is my favorite one. I've bought a couple of properties there for clients now, a few properties there now, is Melton West.
Yes.
Right? It's about 30, 35 kilometers from Melbourne CBD.
Yeah.
Still buy a house for under 500 if you're lucky. It's a little bit harder now because every agent there is now getting inundated with requests, which you don't see in the media, by the way. Media doesn't talk about how much interest there is in some of these suburbs, right? No. Melbourne is bad, is the narrative. Melton West doesn't think so. We've got 4% yield, pretty healthy rent to owner ratio, everything looking good. Infrastructure spend is $600 per capita. Very healthy sign. So money is flowing into the suburb, and that's being complemented by some of the data that we're seeing. So that's the top 5, right? So just doing a quick recap, we have Broadford, Meadow Heights, Werribee, Golden Square, and Melton West. Big fan of all of them. If you think about it long term, I think they're all pretty safe bets. But if you complement it with the supply and demand dynamics at play here, 12 to 24 months, I think we're going to start seeing some of these prices move. And the other thing I'll say, because Matt from HTAG obviously encourages us to think about it from a customer brief. These kinds of suburbs are ideal for, I think, not the speculative investor who wants the 30% growth in 1 year. This ain't it, right? This is not, you need to go to Perth for that, right? I don't even know if Perth still has that steam left. This is the long-term plays. These are healthy, fairly large suburbs. So if you're a long-term investor looking at a 10 to 15 year time horizon, you're fairly low risk in your appetite, which, you know, a lot of people are. These are the suburbs for you. So
100%. I agree.
We're done. All right.
I'm loving all right, let's go. I love Werribee. 100%. I love Werribee. I'm buying there for our clients now.
Amazing.
Melton West. Shout out to Ned Nikolic. He's now busy with a lot of buyers agents.
Yeah, he is.
But we had a coffee about 1 year ago.
Wow.
When I popped in to see him, he goes, "You're the first buyers agent I've seen." I said, "Listen to me. Watch this space. This is going to boom." And here we are now. Everyone's talking about it. And he still tells that story. But shout out to him.
Amazing.
They've helped us with our property management and everything. But you could see it coming.
Yeah.
Come on, you could see it coming. A year ago, you know, you could really pick up, I remember a 650 square meter block. It was a corner block, 411K.
Oh.
You know, like that sort of stuff was there. And now it's not so much.
And I hate giving you a compliment, Michael.
Sorry, bud.
I absolutely hate this. What I'm about to say, I want you to block your ears. But it took a lot of balls to talk about Melbourne 12 months ago. Right?
I was the first one.
I know. So I want to give you a big shout out. That it took a lot of guts. Because Alex from HTAG also presented about Melbourne, you know, about probably 10 months ago, 11 months ago. Everyone was hating Melbourne. Everyone's still hating Melbourne. It's less so now. It's becoming a little bit more popular. So to put knowing what you know, right? Having done this for 11 years, knowing 10 years at the time, knowing what you know, to still put yourself forward as, hey, I'm the Melbourne guy now, when everyone's still on the Perth bandwagon. It took a lot of guts, man. And I think you're not a I told you so guy. To me, you are, not to other people.
I'll do it off camera.
Do it off camera. But look at you now, man. 12 months in, you know, we're January 2025 here.
Yeah.
And things are playing out.
I've paved the way and everyone's
You paved the
going.
way, exactly.
But you know what I love about it, and this is my strategy now, and I think everyone needs to use this strategy, is see what's going to happen before it happens. Get there first, and then go into asset selection mode,
Correct.
like extreme level, and
Correct.
go in there, and like I have been already, and buying the subdividable sites.
Yes.
Like buying the high density sites.
Yep.
Where you could knock the house down and build, 13 units or a few townhouses on it, right? Because you can buy it for nothing.
Yep.
You can buy it for nothing. And this sort of stuff is going to be like, this stuff's so popular in Queensland, but yet I was buying it for nothing back 10 years ago. Once again,
Amazing.
I was buying, 16 unit sites in Queensland for 280 grand in Brisbane, right?
It's insane.
Yeah, but you could see it.
Yeah.
And now I'm just seeing the same thing. So what I do, and here's my secret, I just repeat what I've been doing.
Yeah.
And it's hard to go wrong. Yeah. Just see the value.
Yep.
See the value, go there before other people, buy it, and then you buy the better asset. Because what happens in a boom time, when everything's booming and there's 20 people in the market all putting in offers on the same property, they're all desperate to buy whatever. That's when you will be begging for an unappealing property.
Correct.
That is on a main road at the set of traffic lights.
Correct.
That's not subdividable. That's unappealing to an occupier. You'll be begging for that property along with 10 or 20 other people during a property boom because you need to get in because the market's going up so quick. Whereas we buy the really desirable properties just before everyone notices that the area is desirable, before it gets busy, where the data starts aligning, and you put your clients into assets usually under market value. So not only are we avoiding paying market, we're buying under market. Correct. We're buying the better asset, and then it's just sit and watch it go.
And that's where patience comes in, right? Like, because you're surrounded by people talking about, and this has become quite rampant in our industry, right? 30% growth in 12 months, 40% growth in 6 months, 100% growth in 2 days, you know? Yeah. Very rampant in our industry now. Yeah. So I think there's become almost like a cultural thing where people expect these results because they think that's what's normal now. Yeah. But that's where people like you and me, we sort of talk about, no, you buy it early. You don't see that 100% rise or whatever ridiculous thing that happens. You sit on it. You watch the market go. You sort of forget about it for 12 months. Don't even think about it. You've got a tenant in there. They pay their bills. You sort of, figure out the shortfall. You sit on it for a while. You see your rent rise. Come back 12 months later and you suddenly start seeing, oh my God, there's prices are moving. There's 30 people at the inspections now, where it was 4 when I first bought. You know, you start, but the problem with that strategy, it takes a lot of trust, right? Because they need to trust us that what we are doing and seeing is going to come to fruition. But it's very hard to do. It's hard, man. It's hard because they're like, well, what about Townsville? Why not Mandurah and Perth? You know, like why not Bunbury? Nothing to say you can't buy there because it fits a certain person's strategy. But the people that are going in with low risk appetites, they shouldn't be buying in places like that. They should be buying in these kind of assets. That to me, I hate using the word, but it's sort of evergreen, right? In 20, 30 years time, a 700 square meter block that can be subdivided in 30 kilometers from Melbourne, that's going to be pretty popular, 100%. You know? So 100%. It's a hard job.
Meadow Heights, another one. We'll touch on that.
I know. Heights, that's another one here.
I bought subdividable and DA approved. I've bought quite a few there, and the one we're working on now is I think it's subdividable as well.
It's unbelievable, man.
So I've got to do a DD pack on it, but I'm waiting to know that I can get it because the agent's telling me he's got a lot of competition now.
Yeah, right.
So it's not like when I popped in and seen them a year ago, so pretty much a year ago now, when I was the first buyer's agent.
There you go.
Now they're like, we're inundated with people. And of course, with that tight supply,
there's not a lot left, right? So
the locals need properties.
That's right. So exactly. There are upgrades happening. They want to like move to a bigger house. But some of the percentages we're talking about, it's less than 0.5%. In the context, right? I think they say 2.5%, 3% is balanced for like a stock on market. Right? So anything less than 2, you're talking about a pretty tight market. Anything less than 1 is very tight. That's insane. Anything less than 0.5%, there's basically no houses left. And you've got locals competing for it because of an owner-occupied dominant area. Then you have buyers agents trying to buy it for other people, or investors. That's a lot of competition for a handful of houses. That's why when you said, when you sort of come to a point where it is booming, where it's hot, that's when people are scrambling to buy anything. But that's when we've gone somewhere else. We're already somewhere else. So those are my clients. They get the full upsweep. Right? So if you buy before everyone else, or before anyone notices the market at all, before everyone goes into it, you have bought and
you can buy out the market value. So if it's a $500,000 house and you could jump in and buy it for $460 before the market booms, as soon as a $500,000 property starts booming, that quickly moves towards 600K. You're up on 50. While someone that's struggling, that's jumping into a market once it's already hot, will be buying close to that 600 range.
Sure.
So the amount of upswing that they get is minimal. That's why a lot of people get caught up. A lot of people got caught up in the 2000s booming Perth, because everyone was like, oh, Perth's just booming, it's booming, right? And that was on the back of money. And a lot of people went over there and bought that shot. Oh, where everyone's making money. Let's just go Perth, because they hear it, Perth. When you constantly hear something, it's like in marketing. They say, oh, if you have 20 touch points or 20 minutes of marketing, someone's likely to buy something from you based on drops or whatever the stack is, right? It's like when people keep hearing Perth, I'll get Perth. Because right now I hear things like, oh, I want to buy in Brisbane. Yeah, the big games, I hear Brisbane. And it's like, well, the 250 from the houses that we were buying on 800 square meter blocks in Kingston for $250,000 in 2019, and now $750. Yep. Like it's true. Yeah. In 5 years, 6 years. Yeah, 6 years. So, and mind you, that was 10 years of no growth. That was optimum for. I love that. But they're doing it based on familiarity and being comfortable with it, because it's constantly being talked about. And I know someone who moved there. Like the whole, I know someone who moved there, I know someone who invested there and they did well, story plays out and is so good for so many people. But flip the coin, there's so many people that will come to us and say, I won't buy a townhouse because I've got a family member that had one and they had a bad experience. So their entire strategy is based on a bad experience. Whereas I know I have someone else, not even their experience, someone else's. That's right. So, whereas townhouses would make sheets on a townhouse. So, and I used all the way from when I scale my portfolio at the start to right now picking the value, right? Everything can make you money at the right stage of the cycle. And I think too many people are, once again, we're going back to people being influenced. That's what I'm talking about that at the start. So that never ends. Mr. Adi, this was fantastic.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it very much. And
what I was thinking about the Queensland ones.
Yeah, well, you probably already know.
I see what it is. So I know. Let's do it. Thank you so much. Thank you, man. Cheers for having me. Thanks.